What is going on, you guys? We are live again. We are down at the boat ramp local to our area. There's a lot of people here, actually. You know, just doing some Florida man shit. Check this out. Oh, I get it. Goodness gracious. The winds are so... The winds are so high in Florida here in Port St. John. Goodness gracious, you guys. So, no joke though, the water is very high at this point. As you can see, the water is taking over the boat ramps, completely flooded the docks out. They are underwater. The docks here are underwater. So a lot of water coming in right now, you guys. A lot of water. Docks are underwater here. Parking lots are continuing to flood. The neighborhoods are continuing to flood. Just a whole lot of water with nowhere to go. And we are 10 to 12 hours from seeing Milton arrive in our neighborhoods. So you can see a lot of people gathered out here to see all this water coming in. This is the Indian River. And the Indian River is normally not nearly this high. Right now there is a seawall right here that there's usually about a 3 to 4 foot drop from this seawall down to the water's edge. And as you can see, the water is completely taking over the seawall and crashing up into the parking lot here. So, a whole lot of water with nowhere to go. We're gonna get out of this boat ramp area. Stick with us. We're gonna go check out the neighborhoods, see some of the local flooding here. We've gotten a break in the severe weather. The tornadoes seem to have eased off for the day, which is fantastic because all the tornadoes. We had so many tornadoes across Florida today. It was kind of scary, man. Every couple of minutes there was a new tornado warning across Central Florida. We had several here in Brevard County. Mostly these things were happening down around Vero Beach and in Port St. Lucie, that area. Just a lot of tornadoes down there. The last report we heard said only one person was injured throughout all those tornadoes. So be in prayer for that one person, but be thankful that God is so good to have kept so many people safe, because I've heard that an entire trailer park was essentially wiped off the map. I don't know how true that is yet. We haven't confirmed it, but that's the latest reports from some of the weather experts that we've been watching. So hopefully everybody's safe. But yeah, we're gonna take a little drive here into the neighborhoods and see what we can find. As you can see here at the boat ramps, they are completely flooded out though. So here, I'm gonna let you film while I drive, because you know, safety first and all that. But
hi, Julian.
I'm gonna put my mic in between us so maybe y'all can hear us both talking here. So I got my wife Victoria, she's with me right now. I got a truck behind me somewhere. So let me not run anybody over. Yeah, we'll try to get one more shot of the boat ramp here.
As you can see, there are quite a few people out just checking out the boat ramp, the surrounding areas before things get really bad. We actually just kind of had a lull just now, so I mean, it wasn't terrible to go out and kind of survey things a little bit. So,
but we got another wave coming in right now. Another big storm wave coming in.
I don't know who decided to park their sailboat up here at the boat ramp, but
so you can see the storm waters are absolutely taking over the docks here.
And we just had our boat ramp replaced, what would you say, like a couple years ago?
Yeah, just recently. It wasn't very long ago. But it looks like it's going to take a lot of damage again this time, so that's unfortunate. But all right, we'll drive down through the neighborhoods and see how they're doing, because I know we on the way here we were seeing a lot of ponding and flooding in the neighborhoods, which is not really what you want to see hours and hours ahead of the arrival of a hurricane, but that's what we're seeing here. So hopefully, I don't know, honestly at this point, there's nowhere for all this water to go. It's been raining here for two weeks, a lot of rain. We were yesterday we were well over 200% of our normal rainfall totals for this time of year. The ground is completely saturated all across central Florida, especially over here on the coastlines. There's just been a lot of rain here. I'm sure it's been very similar in other parts of the state. Um, just tons and tons of rain has been coming down. Just the whole area is just very, very well saturated. It takes just the slightest little thunderstorm or rainstorm to come through and flood the roads out, flood the ditches out. A lot of the neighborhoods have been dealing with this already, so now we've got these hurricane bands coming in waves at this point, which is just bringing lots of rain and in large amounts. So there's really nowhere for all this water to go. Fortunately, our area does have a good drainage system. It drains out back, out behind this little town we live in, into the woods, and there's a bunch of little creek systems set up to try to keep the neighborhoods from flooding, but they're just overwhelmed right now. They're all high. All the water levels are high. All of the retention ponds are at max level. The creeks, they are all at max level. And so it doesn't take much to build up a lot of water in these neighborhoods. I don't think we have to be concerned so much about flooding the way we've seen in other parts of the southeast, where like getting on our rooftop or anything like that. I don't think that's going to be a real concern for us. Nothing that we're going to have to really worry about like that necessarily, but not on this side of the state. Brevard County is where we're at. We're on the east side of the state, and also known as the Space Coast. This is where Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, and all of that's here. As a matter of fact, that boat dock that we were just looking at, the boat ramp, when I shined out across that boat dock, you were facing Kennedy Space Center. So the other side of the Indian River there, straight across, dead east from where we were, is the Kennedy Space Center. So we got that as one of the barrier islands. That's Merritt Island, that kind of blocks and keeps us safe from these storms when they approach from the Atlantic side. This one, however, obviously is approaching us from the Gulf Coast. Still a lot of time for it to weaken. Last I saw it was a Category 3 and around about an hour away from making landfall in Sarasota, Florida. So if you're in that area, we are praying for you. We are hoping you guys will stay safe. Hunker down, as Jim Cantori would say. Hunker down, you guys, hunker down. We've got friends over in the Tampa area as well. Friends all across the state, honestly, but we have some friends that did decide to stay in Tampa. I wasn't really happy to hear that, but they're confident that they're in a safer neighborhood, an area that should fare well throughout the storm. So we're hoping that they do. We'll be checking in with them tomorrow to see how they're doing. We sent our kids up to Georgia. We didn't want them here for this, but we have a lot of neighbors and friends here in this community that we wanted to be able to be here and help out in case they found themselves in need. We're on some somewhat higher ground where we are in the community. Doesn't really we're not really concerned about our house necessarily flooding. Not that it can't. It could. It absolutely could. It could flood. I hope it doesn't. We do have flooding issues with our yard from time to time, but I think the house will be safe. But we just want to be here. We just wanted to be here to be able to help any neighbors and friends and church family that might find themselves in need of help before and after the storm, which we were able to do. We were able to help some of the neighbors get storm shutters up before, so that we've got a lot of the neighbors and stuff around us that we feel like are pretty safe now that they've got their windows boarded up and all of that. So all the stores are closed, which we're happy to see. We wanted these people, these stores. A lot of times these stores will stay open during some of these storm conditions, but I'm happy to see everybody's closed up and safely at home, I would assume, or being silly like us and driving around the neighborhoods. Um, but for the time being, the storm has eased off a bit. Like I said, the tornado threat has been reduced. We haven't seen any tornado warnings for about at least an hour, hour and a half now, and the rains have let up a great deal. We had some pretty torrential rainfall coming in for about the last
Yes, we're in Florida. We're
6 hours.
Central Florida, the Space Coast area, so we're actually on the East Coast. So we're going to get the storm. It's going to barrel right on through Tampa, Central Florida, and then it's going to come to us, hopefully at a weakened state. We're hoping that it is no stronger than a Category 1.
So our little neighborhood here that we're riding through, this is where we live. It's called Port St. John. Just east of us, 5 miles east of us, is Cape Canaveral, and that is where the Milton is supposed to be leaving Florida as a Category 1 sometime in the next
Thank you, Bailey.
8 to 12 hours.
We do plan on staying safe. We actually are only out right now because it's really died down right now, so we're kind of just trying to evaluate the area and how everybody else is doing in the neighborhoods and what kind of damage or potential damage there could be. So we're not just out here while it's actually really bad. We thought maybe we would come out before it gets really bad, just to give us an idea how things are. Things have been getting bad as far as like a lot of tornado warnings have been popping up all over Brevard, Orange.
All over Central Florida. Port St. Lucie got the worst. Vero Beach area, they got the worst of these tornadoes earlier. It seemed like a lot of tornado warnings down and crossed over the turnpike earlier in the day, but just a major outbreak of tornadoes coming up the I-95 and between I-95 and US 1. So a lot of tornadoes were coming up through there, coming from the south, headed north. That was earlier, probably about 3 hours ago. They've died down a great bit at this point, so we haven't seen a tornado warning in about an hour or so, maybe a little more than an hour at this point, but the rains have let up, so we wanted to go out and see how everybody was doing. We got a lot of friends in this little community. So
somebody's drainage ditch, so you can see that those are pretty well flooded. That is so true, Bailey, that us Southerners, if it's raining outside, if it's bad weather, we got to be outside checking it out. We just put ourselves in a little bit of unnecessary danger sometimes.
Hey, it's a Southern tradition to be out checking out the storms when it's bad weather. So that's just something we got to do. It's some Florida man stuff, I guess. But we do generally enjoy the thunderstorms here and there. But we surely don't like when our neighborhoods are being under threat of being wrecked by major storms like the ones that are coming through now today and overnight. Hopefully everybody's going to be safe. That's what we keep hoping for. We don't want anyone to get or even have their properties destroyed. We don't want that stuff here. So,
as you can see, there ain't a ton of traffic on the road. So pretty much everybody is hunkering down, boarded up. We are noticing some people are having like little hurricane parties where they're in their garages kind of watching the storm while it's not really bad right now. Again, probably just another one of those southern things.
But you can see there's so much flooding and ponding along the sides of the roads at this point. There's nowhere for all this water to go at this point. We've had so much rain over the last couple of weeks. It's just, there's not a lot of, there's nowhere for the water to go. It's not absorbing into the soil anymore. It just kind of sits. We've had essentially ponds, little small ponds in our own front yard now for about a week, for at least 3 or 4 days, I would say, almost a week.
They really haven't gone away since the last hurricane, to be honest.
Yeah. So we had some good bands come in from the last one. The weather here. Got water across the road, so we're gonna be careful crossing through here. But there's just nowhere for all of this water to go. So our big concern is we're 8 to 12 hours away from seeing Milton on our side of the state, and we've already got so much water in the neighborhoods. And this is just one little neighborhood. It's like this all over the county, all over Central Florida for that matter. That's really good to know. We have a very good infrastructure here as far as they've. You might notice these poles here. These poles are not your average light poles. Get on the street, you can see these are not your average light pole. They're not wood light poles. Almost all of these coastline areas, these coastline counties, our poles are made of. I think they're like a composite metal type material. They may even be concrete, but they are very, very sturdy. There is still a concern for power lines and things going down. It does happen. We do lose power here and there, but for the most part, it takes some pretty significant events to knock out power to our areas along these coastlines. You know, a hurricane can do it for sure. Tornadoes can do it. Your average thunderstorms do not generally take down our power, and even your weaker tropical storms and Category 1 hurricanes. Uh, we'll see power outages, yeah, but not on a wide scale. A lot of times, it takes some pretty significant damage to cause wide scale power outages. So the neighborhoods are looking good right now, looking good, except for all the water. There's just so much water. But
We haven't seen any down trees. We
no,
haven't
seen no trees down yet. So that's good. There's still power everywhere, which is also good. And nobody's houses or anything are flooded that I can tell. It looks like everybody's houses are still up above the water. But the neighborhoods are starting to collect a lot of water. Over towards Cape Canaveral, we're just a little bit northwest of Cape Canaveral, directly west of the Kennedy Space Center. So if we get those winds wrapping back around the storm, these coastlines north of Cape Canaveral could see storm surge. And they've reported as much as 3 to 5 feet of storm surge along the beaches and stuff. Fortunately, north of Cape Canaveral is nothing but Kennedy Space Center property for quite a ways, for several miles, until you get to I want to say till you get close up to New Smyrna Beach, yeah, that area. So there's not a lot of housing or infrastructure as far as cities and stuff like that along those areas. It's known as the the Kennedy Space Center National Seashore or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big wildlife, pretty much untouched beaches. Like, people don't really go down there. It's not where you really can't get down there as a human. I mean, I guess you could if you got the right government clearance.
Yeah, essentially they are on NASA property.
Yeah, it's
and,
all NASA.
We get chased out if we get too close.
Yeah, I don't even think you can get that close. I've gotten close to the shorelines with when I was out on my jet ski offshore. It's beautiful down there, but you can't get out there on the beaches. So that area is pretty much all protected, but I think that would be the main storm surge areas for our local area here, with the exception of the intercoastal waterways, which I just showed you when we started this live stream. We were down at the edge of the Indian River. So the Indian River is part of the intercoastal waterways here. There's also the Banana River on the on the east side of Merritt Island before you get to Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral. So those two rivers or intercoastal waterways are essentially act as barriers between us here on the mainland and the ocean itself. So a little protection there. This is the I-95 corridor we're passing over right now. I-95 is just about as
It's totally dark,
dead
so
as
you
it can
can't
be.
even see it.
Yeah, it's there's no traffic out there right now, which is good. Um, so yeah, this is the west side of the neighborhoods, and there is a little more flooding over here in these neighborhoods. So we'll see how that looks.
Earlier we went through a no wake zone.
Yeah, there's definitely some considerable ponding on the roads here, so we got to be careful of that.
So we just hope everybody is staying safe. We're just trying to give a little bit of insight, perspective to the storm so far. Letting y'all see what we got going on. Hopefully it will not be really bad. We're praying for everybody. We want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to be protected, so praying for a hedge of protection and safety for everyone out there on this coast and on the west coast and central Florida, just everywhere. We don't know where this storm's going to end up hitting exactly or coming out exactly, so it could change at any point. So we're now at the stages of just being safe and praying for the absolute best.
So if you guys will tune in to the Southern Drawl Podcast, we'll be uploading, we're probably going to be covering some of this storm stuff on the podcast in the next couple of days. I would say hopefully tomorrow, but I can't be sure because
what kind of damage we even have.
Right, at this point it looks like we'll be dealing with Category 1 Milton at first thing in the morning. So as the sun's coming up, probably it'll be hitting here into this area unless it slows down. But I would just say maybe tomorrow evening we can get a podcast out and give you guys some updates on what's going on. We may do a couple more live streams throughout the night. And oh man, a lot of water over here. That whole little area is kind of flooded out. But we'll try to do some more live streams. We'll be posting some shorts as well.
Oh my goodness, that whole yard.
Yeah, that yard's having some trouble. But we will keep you guys posted and updated on what it looks like here on the east coast of Florida as we watch Milton come straight at us, man. It's going to come straight across here through this area and make its way off into the Atlantic. So we're hoping for minimal damage, and we're hoping that everybody in our neighborhoods here, as well as the rest of the state, will be safe, will stay safe. I know there was like 1 million people or more left evacuated, so that was good to see that Floridians are heeding the warnings that are being given. There are no evacuation warnings or for our area or evacuation orders, not for the mainland here. There are some over for Cocoa Beach area. The barrier islands essentially have some evacuation orders in place. I don't know. All right, gotta slow down here. There's water all the way across the roads here. So I know that I don't know to what degree people did evacuate. I've got friends over on those barrier islands, a lot of friends actually, and I'm hoping that they're going to stay safe and if need be, heed those warnings. All the causeways and everything are still open. The bridges are open, so they can still leave at this point if they need to, or if they feel like they should. And I urge you guys, I know you are watching, don't play with the storm, guys. If it's bad over there, if it's as bad on the beach as it is over here on the intercoastal, you guys should probably just consider that before it gets too too far along. So
We just got a notification that says flood watch in Brevard County. So
yeah, there are flash flood flash flood watches and warnings out all across Central Florida right now. Tornado threat has eased up at this point, guys. So we are going to we'll check back with you guys in just a little bit. The rains have eased up for now, though. The tornado warnings have eased off. There are still flood warnings all over the area. Keep in mind, Hurricane Milton could be as powerful as a Category 2 when it arrives here into the Brevard County area. They're forecasting it to be a Category 1, which is definitely better than a 2, but still a dangerous storm. So we can't get complacent, guys. You gotta heed these warnings. Keep a watch out on your weather apps. Yeah. For now, we will be checking back in with you guys periodically all throughout the night. We're going to be up pretty much most of the night. We'll probably get a little sleep here in just a bit, but once the storms start to rage, we're gonna be up pretty much after that, keeping an eye on things. So until we come back to you guys, stay safe and be blessed, and we will talk to you soon.